We've all felt lonely. We've all experienced that deep pain of feeling lonely, even when we're surrounded by people. But here's my question. Why is loneliness so painful? Why does it make us so sad? And why does it make us feel this deep sense of grief? Why do we feel afraid and anxious when we're lonely? Why is it one of the most painful experiences and the most universal? I want to talk today about the existential truth, the eternal truth of loneliness. It's not really something that any human can fully escape, but we can find real connection that makes that loneliness a little less painful. And that's why love and friendship, the genuine kind, are absolutely necessary. One of the reasons loneliness is so universal, it's the reason that we've all felt lonely at some point in our life, is because we're born alone and we die alone. The moment we're born, we feel that loneliness. We feel all of a sudden that disconnection. We have that hunger and that drive to reconnect, to get that affection from others from a very, very young age. And that's what we call the attachment system. That's a neurological, physiological system that we're born with, that helps us survive, that helps us connect to our mothers, get nourished, get that love, and it satisfies that need for survival. C.S. Lewis has this quote that explains this perfectly. We are born helpless. As soon as we are fully conscious, we discover loneliness. We need others physically, emotionally, intellectually. We need them if we are to know anything, even ourselves. Loneliness is not the absence of affection, but the absence of meaningful connection, of being truly known and loved. To be lonely is to experience the aching gulf between ourselves and the rest of being, a gulf that mere physical proximity cannot bridge. The thing that prompts our longing and our grief is the knowledge that we are made for communion. So that's why we need to feel connected to others. We need that genuine connection, that feeling of community, because it's the only thing that can help that gnawing sense of loneliness. Now, there's something in here that I want to stress. Loneliness is so painful because it signals that our survival is in danger. We need social connection for survival, and that starts when we're babies and we need our mothers to survive, but also as we grow up, we need our community to be able to survive. We evolved for hundreds of thousands of years as hunter-gatherers, and we needed the tribe, the community, the group to be able to survive. That cooperation allowed us to hunt. That cooperation helped protect us from dangers and from prey. Now, whenever we would be excommunicated from the tribe, whenever we would be shunned or we just didn't have that connection to the group anymore, that meant that our survival was in danger. That's why loneliness makes us feel so afraid, so anxious, and that's why it turns on our chronic stress system. And chronic stress means inflammation. It means that our body is literally sick because when stress is chronically activated, it starts hurting our body. That's why we shrink when we're lonely constantly, because that threat to survival means that our body isn't concerned with thriving and with growing. It's simply concerned with protecting us. And that's why loneliness is so painful, not only on an emotional and mental level, but also on a physical level. And that fear of loneliness that we've evolved with today translates into a very painful psychological state. It's what makes social connection absolutely necessary. Love and friendship aren't optional because they're the only cure for that existential loneliness. If you felt disconnected from others, you'll definitely resonate with this next quote by Rollo May. There is a terror in isolation which cuts one off not only from others, but from oneself. To be isolated is to be deprived of the dialogue through which one's own identity is established. We need love because it is the experience through which we affirm the reality of our own existence and the existence of others. Without the capacity to love and be loved, the individual remains trapped within himself, a solitary monad spinning in the void. Love is thus not merely a pleasant experience, it is existentially necessary. Okay, so we understand that social connection and love is necessary for us to feel that we are someone, to have a sense of self, and to cure that terror of isolation. But with all of that said, how do we actually make meaningful social connection? It seems like in our day and age, it's almost impossible. And I want to talk about a few reasons that we are so disconnected from each other today. And no, I'm not going to talk about social media and working from home because you've heard all of the statistics about the loneliness epidemic already. I want to go a step deeper. I want to talk about the psychological makeup of our culture today. One of the main things that blocks us from meaningful connection is when we're not being authentic. And this is crucial to understand. Rollo May explains this inauthenticity like this: the alienated man moves through life with a mask, fearing exposure, fearing relationship, fearing the very forces that will make him whole. He exists in a wasteland of conformity and technological distraction, where genuine encounter is rare and dangerous. The human spirit shrivels when it is denied the struggle to relate authentically. So here's why authenticity is so crucial for meaningful, genuine connection. When we put on a mask, when we try to be something we're not, when we try to be perfect and exude this facade, we aren't showing people who we really are. And any connection we make with others in that state will just feel fake. In the words of Holden Caulfield from The Catcher in the Rye, it will just feel phony. That's why we absolutely need to be authentic. We need to be comfortable with who we are, with our imperfections. And when we show that to people and make a genuine connection there, and we know that they accept us for who we are, and we accept them for who they are, that's when a real meeting happens. That's when real, genuine, satisfying connection happens. That's when you can create a real friendship, a real loving bond. The problem is that inauthenticity is almost a universal fact of our culture today. We are living in the age of alienation. We feel emptiness and meaninglessness because we have no real connection. We've lost our roots. Here's Rollo May again, explaining this way better than I can. The chief problem of people in the middle 20th century is emptiness. They do not know what they want. They do not have any clear idea of what they are living for. Alienation is the defining experience of our time, a loss of roots, of tradition, of a guiding sense of meaning. People feel disconnected not only from others, but from themselves. They are strangers even to their own feelings and desires. They yearn for belonging, but have lost the capacity for relatedness. Because we don't have that meaningful connection, we chase other things that don't really give us meaning. We chase pleasure, money. We think that our careers are the most important thing in the world. We chase status. Women today, for example, think that having kids is going to somehow ruin their lives or their careers. But all of that doesn't really give us meaning. Obviously, we all still feel empty. So, how do we create that meaning in the modern day? The thing is that in our modern culture, there's a sense that we need to conform because we're in huge groups of people, and the more contacts we have, the less genuine relationships. We feel that the only way to stay in the tribe, so to speak, is to conform, to go along with the herd. But that only hurts us. So, how do we create that meaningful connection today? It starts with you. You need to connect to your own authenticity. This is the precondition for any healthy, real, genuine connection. A lot of people think that in order to not be lonely, that they need to chase other people and constantly be in groups and activities. And a lot of times that fear of loneliness just drives people into the wrong relationships, the wrong group of friends. And what they're missing is a true connection to who they really are, to what's important to them, to their values, to what they actually believe, and what they actually want out of life. Before you can start making real friendships and finding a healthy romantic relationship, you first need to start with yourself. Go inward, understand who you are, and ask yourself the question, are you someone that you like to be with? The only steady companion you'll ever have is yourself. You need to actually like yourself and enjoy who you are. It's not good for man to be alone. Yes, we know that. Having someone, that's the ideal state. But start making yourself a companion you're comfortable with first. Think of what kind of companion would you want to be with. You'd want to be with someone who's honest and someone who will gently tell you the truth. Someone who acts like a mirror to you and helps you grow, supports your growth. The hardest thing in the world is for a person to be honest with themselves because it can feel uncomfortable, but you have to face the reality of who you are, of what you are. No one's going to tell you that like you will tell that to yourself. But again, you want to tell yourself that in an understanding and forgiving way. If you're constantly beating yourself up, if you're constantly criticizing yourself, and if your whole internal dialogue is negative and cruel, you're not going to want to be with yourself. You need to be someone who you actually enjoy being alone with. At the end of the day, we want someone who's encouraging, who pushes us and inspires us to move forward and to get out of the rut we're in and to grow. Now, before you can find that someone, you need to become that someone. That's the only way you'll be able to recognize that in the other person and be confident in who you are and be able to walk authentically through life. Accepting your imperfections, but knowing that you're on a path towards real growth. When you create genuine friendship, it happens when you both come together as you are and feel a sort of kinship of souls. C.S. Lewis describes it like this. Friendship arises out of mere companionship, when two or more of the companions discover that they have in common some insight or interest or even taste, which the others do not share. Until that moment, each believed to be his own unique treasure or burden. The typical expression of opening friendship would be something like, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." But there's also a type of friendship that's fake, that doesn't really satisfy us. Here's another example. When two or three are gathered together to play whist, to drink beer, to talk shop, or to smoke pipes in silence, there you have fellowship. When the men say, "We must hang together," and then say nothing for the rest of the evening, there too, if they are not lying, is fellowship. But if, instead, they are trying to prove that they belong by laughter, by conformity, by secrecy, then they are seeking not fellowship, but a false substitute, a club of mutual reassurance against loneliness, not a communion of souls. The difference is crucial, for true friendship is the recognition of shared being. False companionship is only the sharing of fear. It is not presence alone that makes for fellowship, but truthfulness of heart. Some of you might be thinking, that doesn't describe me at all. I don't need other people. I'm good being alone. Now, first, I want to talk about why you're missing out and why friendship is so important. Cicero has a great line. Friendship makes prosperity brighter, enlightens adversity by dividing and sharing it. The only way we can really get through life's burdens is through the support of others. We need the support of others to help us deal with life's difficulties. It's through that support, whether it's a single friendship or a whole community, that the difficulties of life become lighter. If you think that you don't need friendship or you don't need love, you've probably spent so much time in the pit of loneliness that you can't see any way out of the despair. Maybe you've been hurt by people so much that you think it's safer to disconnect yourself. But that's not the answer. There's a big difference between being alone and enjoying your solitude than actively disconnecting from other people, disconnecting yourself from the world. You feel this emptiness because you've been disconnected from people for so long that you can't even see them as people. They're simply props in this cruel world that you live in. Martin Buber talks about this feeling like this. The loneliness which men suffer is the loneliness of not being met, not being recognized, of standing in a world of objects and functions, but not of presences. The more society multiplies contacts, the more it prepares loneliness. The more it drives men together, the more it drives them apart. Man cannot endure the barrenness of life without encounter, and yet he flees from the risk of relation. And here's exactly the point that I want to make. It's the risk of relation. It's the fear of truly being seen, of exposing yourself, of showing your imperfections. It's the fear of rejection that is keeping you stuck in the state of loneliness. And here's the beauty of solitude. We need to be comfortable with being by ourselves, and that doesn't mean becoming comfortable with loneliness. It means giving ourselves time for reflection, giving ourselves time to enjoy our own company. And once we do that, once we're able to be alone without necessarily feeling lonely, that's when we can start approaching others and making those genuine friendships. I hope this helped you understand why loneliness is so painful. I hope it helped you understand why social connection, friendship, and love are absolutely necessary. Don't get stuck in that spiral of loneliness. Work on yourself. Work on accepting who you are, on growing, on understanding your imperfections, and not letting yourself beat yourself up for them. Become the kind of person that you would want to be with. And I promise you, you will find that real friendship, real relationship will be so much easier to come by. And here's another important piece. This age of social media that we're in not only disconnects us, but it makes these problems of the loneliness epidemic and the age of meaninglessness and alienation feel so all-encompassing that we just give up. And here's what I want you to do. Disconnect from all the noise you hear on social media. The connections I'm talking about happen locally. They happen person by person with the people around you. You can escape this modern culture by finding these people that you appreciate and that appreciate you. You don't have to be consumed by the modern culture that we're in today. And once you move past that and rise above it, that's how you yourself can start shifting the culture to a place where real connection is possible. I hope you enjoyed the video, and you know I love hearing from you, so please leave your thoughts and questions in the comments. And if you want more content like this, take a moment to subscribe and like the video. It helps the channel grow, and it helps me bring you more and more videos like this. Also, I'm offering one-on-one counseling sessions right now, and I have a few spots left, which you can book on the Calendly link in the YouTube description. So if you're interested, I'd be happy to work with you. Till next time, guys.